Welcome back. Well, the multi-million rand funeral industry will this week come under the spotlight. This as scores of funeral practitioners gathered in Ekurhuleni, east of Johannesburg, for a conference. The industry was recently embroiled in controversy after it was dragged in the mud following the Alleluia Ministry's resurrection saga. The conference takes place under the auspices of the South African Funeral Practitioners Association, and the association's president, Libo Mnisi, joins us now live in studio. So thank you very much indeed for your time. Let's just talk a bit about the transformation of this industry and that it's currently going, and at what pace is it going at?
Okay. Maybe before I answer that question, let me outline what SAFPA is, and so that you may know exactly how far we've gone as a funeral industry. We're an association that represents over 900 members in the country. We are represented in almost all the provinces except for the province of the Northern Cape. We have so many members in KZN, Mpumalanga, and the like. So we are an association that advocates for professionalism in the funeral industry, and yeah, that's what we are.
Yeah, and then talk to us about this transformation that currently the industry is going under. In what form is it taking place?
The conference that we have now in Emperors was built shifting the dial. We are engaging ourselves into doing things better than we were doing before. We've even invited people from outside of the country so that we learn from them. Constantly we go to them and learn some of the things that we don't know in South Africa in the funeral industry. We want to transform the industry. We want to professionalize the industry. We are registering a professional body that is going to sort of regulate the industry ourselves. Yeah.
Look, on one hand, you need to advance your business, and on the other hand, which is really important, is customer service. But when you take both of them, weighing those two together, what sort of challenges does it pose?
There are challenges. There are challenges, like practically when you go to where we operate as funeral undertakers. Our clients have to be taught in which direction we want to take the industry through. And on the other side, we have big insurance companies that are putting pressure on us as a funeral industry. So we have to balance the two. At the same time, we have to be fair to our clients. That's what we are teaching our clients. Yeah.
What about crookery in the industry? In terms of, in what ways are people being duped currently?
Yeah, there are funeral undertakers where you find people paying premiums at the end of the month, but you find that when they need to be given the benefits that they were paying for, and some they run away. So we are getting our funeral undertakers to be in SAFPA, so that we are able to control such things.
But is this industry regulated? I mean, what barriers are in place in terms of entry into this industry?
There's nothing much that barriers people going into the funeral industry.
And that's a concern?
It is. It is a big concern, and we are working very hard with some stakeholders. You know, there are bits and pieces of regulation. The FSCA comes with all its regulation laws. The Department of Health comes with regulation laws. The Department of Home Affairs comes. We want to bring all these things together as an industry and regulate the industry.
In terms of the demand for lavish funerals, just give us a sense of this demand in terms of, is it making the funeral industry increasingly competitive?
Yes, it is. You know, it's funny in the funeral industry. If you don't have these things that you are just mentioning, the lavish cars and all that, you won't be in business tomorrow. These are demanded by our clients. I always tell people that when they ask me, what are you doing? You are in the funeral business. I said, I'm improving the standard of living of our people. because they need these things. We can't take people back and say, you use a car that is going to break down on the way to the funeral. These people are driving posh cars, and when it comes to funeral, how can you use a car that is not up to standard to do a funeral? So if you don't have these things as a funeral director, you are out of business tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just talk to us about the resurrection saga. How did that affect the funeral industry?
To me, I said it's a learning curve to most of us as funeral directors. If you tell clients that if you come with your own coffin, I'm not going to be able to do you a funeral, because it's risky for my company and for the industry as a whole. Let me take, for example, if a client brings a coffin to you and says, do me this funeral, and in the middle of the funeral the coffin breaks, and it's your company on the line, not the client. So it's something that we have to teach to our clients, that you buy a coffin from me, no client is going to come to me and hire a car for a coffin that my car is branded, everything is there. So what if anything goes wrong in the process? Everything will come back to me. Yeah.
What about some calls of certain undertakers not operating in, for instance, townships? How is the association dealing with that?
I didn't hear that.
With regards to some calls about certain race groups not working in certain areas. Tell us a bit about that, and what sort of impact did it have?
It's an unfortunate situation where an undertaker can go and say, we don't want white people operating in a township, we don't want a certain race operating in a town. If there are such issues, people must sit behind boardrooms and discuss them, not discuss it on the street, not affecting the clients at the end of the day. It's a very unfortunate situation as undertakers to be found doing such thing. If, as an undertaker, there is something good that is done by, let me make an example, a white undertaker that is coming into the township, why can't you copy it as a black undertaker and do it? That will bring you clients. So I see no reason why other people should be barred going into locations.
Just give us a sense in terms of how much mourners are spending to send off their loved ones.
It depends on what the people want.
On average?
30, 40,000?
Yeah.
Yes, they can. But there are people who can go over that and even go up to 300,000 or more at a funeral, because people demand all these things. They demand a certain kind of a marquee, they demand a certain kind of a coffin that you have to source and get it for your client. So at the end of the day, it becomes that amount that is determined by the family.
Just give us a sense, the conference is happening starting today and ends on the 21st, is that correct?
Conference is starting today. Conference is underway as we speak. The first session, it was the remembrance. All our members that passed on between 2018 and 2019, we've invited the families so that we have remembrance together with the families and have that service going on at Emperor's Palace.
Liba Mnisi, the President of the South African Funeral Practitioners Association, thank you very much indeed, and all the best for your conference.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I'll get you more news next. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Nana, and I want to tell you